American Top 20.
Hi, this is Kasem. You know, one of the great success stories of the 90s is that of chart queen Celine Dion. Listen to this. She spent a combined total in this decade of 64 weeks at number one on the AC chart with her various number one hits. And now she's eyeing that top spot again. Last week she moved up from number 5 to number 3 with her latest That's the Way It Is. Is Celine, the chart queen, about to add to her royal credits? We'll find out as we count down all the biggest adult contemporary hits in the USA on American Top 20 from AM/FM radio networks. We're counting down now to The Power of Love. It's by a woman whose powerful love is making her a June bride at what's being called the Canadian Wedding of the Year. Details coming up.
Casey's Coast to Coast. Casey's Top 40.
Now we're up to The Power of Love. It's by a woman whose powerful love is making her a June bride at what's being called the Canadian Wedding of the Year. This coming June, 26-year-old Celine Dion will be marrying the man who put her on the road to stardom way back when she was 12 years old, her manager, René Angelil. After the many years they've been working together, they both realized they have a love that is more than just passing affection. They want to become man and wife. And as Celine likes to say with a laugh, it's going to be a big, big wedding. And that's not just because she wants a big wedding, and not just because she's the biggest singing star French Canada has ever known. It's also because she comes from a very, very big family. First off, Celine has 13 brothers and sisters. Her mother has another 7 brothers and sisters, all of whom have large families of their own. Her father has 9 brothers and sisters, and they have big families of their own, too. Celine says she has close to 50 nephews and nieces. She figures her immediate family alone accounts for a couple of hundred people. Add on more distant relatives, and the figure almost doubles. Then, of course, there are the members of the groom's family, good for another 100 guests or so. And after that, Celine and René will invite their friends and business associates. Celine figures it'll be a nice, quiet wedding for about 700 or 800 people. People who will come together to celebrate the power Celine Dion sings about in survey song number 30 this week on Casey's Top 40, The Power of Love.
The whispers in the morning.
Casey's Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the song Misled. It's by a woman who once beat fellow Canadian Bryan Adams in one of the world's most famous singing competitions. And she did it when she was only 14 years old. That competition is the Yamaha World Popular Song Festival in Tokyo, Japan. Each year, musicians from all over the globe are nominated by their governments to represent their lands and languages. And the contest is televised to over 1 billion people worldwide. Over the years, a lot of big-name acts and future stars have participated in the Song Festival. And back in 1982, 2 up-and-coming Canadian singers, Bryan Adams and Celine Dion, were there. Bryan was the official entry from Canada. And though Celine is Canadian too, she was invited to represent France because at the time she did all of her singing in French. At the competition, dozens of artists perform for a blue-ribbon panel of judges every day. And one by one, the judges picked the singers for the finals. Bryan sang a song that went on to become his first top 10 pop hit in the U.S., Straight from the Heart. But it wasn't a hit with the judges, and the 23-year-old rocker went home without making the finals. 14-year-old Celine Dion kept sailing right along. The judges loved her, and she didn't just make it to the finals. She won the 1982 gold medal for Best Song. In the years since, singing in English, Celine Dion's become a big winner on the charts, thanks to smashes like If You Ask Me To and Nothing Broken But My Heart.
Casey's Top 40.
And that means we're up to the number 1 song in the USA on Casey's Top 40. And it's by an international singing star from Canada who says if she weren't a singer, she'd be a figure skater. She grew up in the small town of Charlemagne near Montreal, Quebec. And every year when winter would come, the lakes and rivers near her home would all freeze over. Along with her 13 brothers and sisters and all their friends, she'd spend many happy days figure skating, speed skating, and even playing ice hockey. She says she got good at skating, very good, and she often dreamed of becoming a figure skater. But when she was 12 years old, music got in the way, and she was so busy becoming one of French-speaking Canada's biggest singing stars that she put her dreams of figure skating on hold. But she hasn't forgotten her beloved sport, and she's still quite good at it. Whenever she can, at home or on the road, she heads for a skating rink to practice. And when the Winter Olympics roll by, she always makes sure she attends the skating events. She went to Albertville, France for the 1992 Winter Games, to Lillehammer, Norway for the 94 competition, and she plans to travel to Nagano, Japan for the Winter Olympics in 1998. Meanwhile, the woman who loves the grace and strength of figure skating is making a figure eight right here on our survey, because for the 4th week in a row, she's singing the biggest hit in the land. The number 1 song in the USA on Casey's Top 40 is Because You Love Me by Celine Dion.
For all those times you stood by me, for all the truth that you made me see, I'm everything I am because you loved me.
Casey's Top 40.
Hi, this is Casey Kasem. The question this week is, will anything ever stop Celine Dion? She's been at number 1 now for 7 weeks in a row with Because You Loved Me, making it her biggest hit ever. But to get another week at number 1, she'll have to fend off hot hits by acts like Tracy Chapman and the Fugees. Will Celine, the superstar from Canada, do it? We'll find out as we count down all the biggest hits and check out the latest music news on Casey's Top 40 from Westwood One Entertainment.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Now we're up to All by Myself. It's by a superstar who, on doctor's orders, has taken a vow of silence off stage. Still, she's found a way to speak to her husband over the phone without saying a word. In recent months, this talented singer has been having trouble with her voice during her tour. The trouble is simple. She keeps losing it. After a battery of tests, her physician told her she had to totally restrict non-essential use of her vocal cords, or she'd be putting her singing career in danger. In between her shows, she never, ever talks unless she has to. She's even worked out a way of communicating with her husband and manager, Renee Angelil, by phone without actually having to speak to him. She uses a sort of Morse code, tapping on the phone to send messages to Renee. An assistant to this Canadian superstar says, quote, she has codes for most of the things she has to say. There's a code for yes and a code for no, a code for I love you. She sits there tapping on the phone, having a conversation without using her voice. Well, these days, the superstar who's taken a vow of silence has a lot to shout about. Her CD, Falling Into You, has sold over 8 million copies and was honored as Album of the Year at the recent Grammy Awards. And this week, her latest hit from that CD is survey song number 7 on Casey's Top 40. Here's All By Myself by Celine Dion.
When I was young,
The hits from coast to coast.
Next is the song That's the Way It Is by a superstar who just started her retirement. Now she wants to spend her time seeing the world. Celine Dion says that over the past 2 decades, she's been around the world not once, not twice, but many times. But she also says that during those many trips, she's never really had a chance to see the world. She says, quote, I've traveled a lot, but I've never seen anything. I go from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the arena. I've been around the world, but I've never seen the world. She says she wants to return to the countries where she's performed in the past couple of years, especially France, Italy, and England, and, quote, see the museums and the countryside. Celine says she wants to be able to walk down the street like a normal person, look in store windows, and stop for a beverage at a street corner cafe. She says it's worth giving up her career for a while just to be able to do that. This week, the future world tourist has survey song number 22 on American Top 40. Here's Celine Dion with That's the Way It Is.
Number 5.
Slipping 2 notches is Celine Dion, a superstar whose retirement from performing didn't last quite as long as she had predicted. A couple of weeks ago, she sang 5 songs for golfers attending the LPGA Nabisco National Championship in Palm Springs. Teeing off on another hit on the countdown, here's Celine with That's the Way It Is.
The hits from coast to coast.
Well, now we're up to the song A New Day Has Come by a superstar who says she's had to deal with a lot of strange rumors in her career. The strangest involved her own untimely death. Celine Dion says that like most celebrities, she's had to deal with a fair number of stories about her that just aren't true. Many of them have been stories that claim she suffers from anorexia, which she says has no basis in reality. But Celine says stories like that are minor compared to the tale she discovered in one of the tabloids several years ago. The story reported as absolute fact that Celine had grown despondent about her inability to have a child and had taken her own life. You can imagine that this came as quite a shock to Celine. Not only wasn't she despondent, she also wasn't dead. She says, quote, "I had to call my mom and say, 'Don't worry, I'm okay, I'm alive,' unquote." This week, Celine is very much alive, and so is her latest hit, moving up 3 notches to number 29 on American Top 40. Here's Celine Dion with A New Day Has Come.
The hits from coast to coast.
This is our special presentation of radio's biggest hits of the year. The highlight of 2003 for Celine Dion had to be the opening of her Las Vegas show back in March at Caesars Palace. It kept the singer close to home and in front of the public. Here's Celine Dion with one of the songs she performs in her show, Have You Ever Been in Love? It comes in at number 6 for the year.
Casey counts them down.